Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Let's get started with the study of the Arabic language. Your first lesson is to learn about what kinds of words are there in Arabic. And it's a pretty simple lesson. The way I want to start this off with is just knowing that there are three kinds of words in the Arabic language. And let me tell you what that means. When you're reading the Quran, you come across these tons of words on every page and you don't know any of them. But the first thing you need to know is any of those words belong to one of three categories, category A or B or C. And that's what we're going to learn about today. You know, this is similar for those of you that are familiar with English grammar, and for those of you that are not, I forgive you, it's completely okay. But if you are familiar with English grammar, they say there are 8 parts of speech in English. And that's a complicated thing, right? Breaking down words in every sentence and figuring out which part of speech they belong to. The Arabic language has made this a lot simpler. It's just 3 parts of speech, meaning 3 kinds of words exist in the Arabic language. Any word that you come across in the Arabic language must belong to one of these 3 categories, okay? And so I'll first list them for you. I'll write them in English and in Arabic. The first one is called the ism. The second one is called the fi'l. And the third one is called the harf. So I'll repeat myself. That means that if you're reading the Quran, whatever word you're reading is either an ism or a fi'l or a harf. It can't be 2 out of the 3. It can't be a 4th one. It's got to be one of these. That's what it has to be, okay? And our first job as students of the Arabic language will be to identify which one of these 3 are we looking at. Is it an ism? Is it a fi'l? Is it a harf? To figure out what it means and what significance it has in an ayah. Sorry. Alhamdulillah. To figure out what it means and what significance it might have in an ayah, we're going to have to know which one of these 3 belongs to. So this session is about defining these 3 and then seeing if we can figure out the ism and the fi'l and the harf, at least in English. Even if we're not getting to Arabic yet, the way that we're going to apply this today is to try to see if we can make sense of that stuff in examples in the English language. So let's start with the hardest definition, which is ism. That's the longest and hardest definition, okay? And the ism is basically the following. It's the name of a person, place, thing, idea, adjective, adverb, and more. Now that's a lot. Let's break that up. If you see the name of a person or the mention of a person, this could be something like Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It could be Fir'aun. It could be, and of course, person goes beyond person. Any being, meaning Allah Himself, would be an ism. The word Allah would be an ism. It could be something generic like teacher or boy or child. It could be even a pronoun like you, because the word you refers to a person, or I refers to a person, or we refers to a person. So an ism is all of those things. Any word whose meaning is referring to a person, okay? Place is obvious, like masjid or Makkah or, you know, Texas or whatever. These are places, and anytime you see a place, that's an ism. Thing is also pretty easy. Computer's an ism, camera is an ism, you know, because these are objects, these are things. Rocks are ism. The sky is an ism. These are things. The it in the English language, anything that's an it is also an ism. The idea is where things get a little bit tricky. An idea is concepts that you can't touch, but you have names for them. Like, for example, Islam is an idea, justice is an idea, mercy is an idea, right? These are ideas, and we refer to them as it, right? Like I'm begging for mercy, I'm begging for it, right? So even though we refer to it as though it's a thing you can't touch. It's an abstract thing, right? Like truth or anger and those kinds of words. Those are ideas, and those are also considered an ism. Then things get a little bit more tricky. So we've got person, place, thing, idea, but then we've got adjective. And adjectives are things that describe other things. Like, for example, great religion. Great is a description of religion. Or, for example, if I say tall man, then tall is a description of the man. Those words are considered adjectives in the English language. They're considered a separate category than nouns. So far what I've talked to you about, a person, a place, a thing, or an idea, the English speaker calls all of that stuff a noun. But we cannot call an ism a noun because we've got more things going on now. We've got adjectives, adverbs, and more. That stuff does not belong under nouns in the English language. But it does belong under ism in the Arabic language. So this is important. I'm never going to call, as a teacher of the Arabic language, I'm never going to call the ism the noun, because it's so much more than a noun. If it was just a noun, then it would have been an ism is a person, place, thing, or idea. That's it, we're done. But wait, the ism is also an adjective, which is definitely not a noun. And it's also an adverb, which is not a noun. And how do we know an adjective is not a noun? Let's think about that. Nouns in the English language can be plural. For example, a boy can become boys, or car can become cars. But if I say blue car, and I make that plural, do you say blues cars, that you make blue plural too? You can't, because adjectives don't become plural. Adjectives stay what they are. Adjectives can, in the English language, you can have gender associated with them, or certainly numbers not associated with them. They don't change. If it's, for example, a nice boy, or it's lots of nice boys, or nice girls, the word nice didn't change at all. But in the Arabic language, it is actually going to change. It's going to be treated like a noun itself, which means we're not going to call it a noun. We're just going to call it an ism. So once again, examples of adjectives are colors, like green, blue, yellow. It could be things like size, like big, small, skinny, fat, etc., etc. It could be other adjectives like beautiful or ugly, and all of those are adjectives, and those are also part of the definition of ism. Then you've got adverb, which sounds like this thing that you can only know if you're a geek in the English language. It's pretty simple. Think of it this way. Words that, in the English language, words that end with ly, like quickly, or slowly, or happily, or reluctantly, or, these kinds of words. These are all adverbs. Now, what's the purpose of adverbs? They just tell you how something happened. Like, I walked slowly, or he drove quickly, or they spoke reluctantly, or they acted angrily, etc. All of those words just describe the answer to the question, how. How did it happen? Thisly, okay? Slowly, happily, angrily, etc., etc., okay? The ly doesn't work all the time. Like a word like lovely is not an adverb, because obviously lovely is an adjective. A lovely house, a lovely story. But most of the time, when you see ly, it's probably an adverb, okay? So that's person, place, thing, idea, adjective, adverb. And now I've added a word, more. We don't have to deal with that because we'll deal with more when we get to more. For now, just stick it into your definition. What I'd like to do now is for you to close your eyes and see if you can say this definition with me without looking. And even if you open your eyes, I took it off the screen. An ism is a person, place, thing, idea, adjective, adverb, and more. Before you go any further, pause this and see if you can say it to yourself, okay? Person, place, thing, idea, adjective, adverb, and more. And you also have to come up with examples for each. So person, myself. Place, Texas. Thing, computer. Idea, boring. Adjective, or idea is not boring, sorry. Idea would be, I don't know, learning. Yeah, learning is an idea. Education is an idea. Arabic is an idea. Adjective would be boring, or exciting, or easy, like this is. Adverb, quickly, slowly, happily, reluctantly, loudly, lowly, etc., etc., or slowly. And then more, we don't care. We'll deal with it when we get to more. That's your definition of ism. Now we get to fi'l. And fi'l is a word stuck in the past, or present, or future. It's got a tense. It's got a past tense, or a present tense, or a future tense. Now, in the Arabic language, we call it a fi'l. For some of you that are familiar with English, hopefully all of you, it's called a verb. But I'm not going to use the word verb, because verbs are a little bit different from fi'l in the Arabic language. In the Arabic language, if I were to give you an example, if I say he went, I would say that went is in the past, right? So that's a verb. But actually in the Arabic language, they'll merge these two together. So it's more, like it's actually considered one word, he went, which is why a fi'l actually includes more in it. It's actually sometimes a complete sentence instead of just one word. So even though we're not getting into that technically, all I need you to know is it's not as simple as just calling it a verb. I want you to think of it as more than just a verb. So I said an ism is more than just a noun. And now a fi'l is more than just a verb. All you need to know that is that it's stuck in the past or present or future. So it's either ate or eats or eating or will eat in the future. All of those are verbs. And sometimes in the English language, they're not one word, they're a combination of words like will eat or was eating. Those are two words, and they go together to make one verb, in a sense. And that's how we have to think about fi'l, right? So a word stuck in the past or present or future. Notice the ism didn't have a past, present, or future. An apple is a thing. It doesn't have a past, present, or future. It's just an apple. The word apple does not have a tense. But if I say saw, then saw is in the past. If I say see, it's in the present. Or if I say will see, that's going to be in the future. So that's your fi'l. And that brings us to our last definition, which is harf. Harf is basically a word. I really commit to this definition. A word that makes no sense unless there's another word after. That's the definition. It can't be by itself. By itself, it makes no sense at all. Think of it this way. If I said to you, and, it makes no sense. What do you mean and? If I said by, not this kind of by, like by, by. Or in, guy gets in a cab and the cab driver goes, where do you want to go? He says, to. Yes. To where? To. Not going to make sense. To what? To the hotel. To the university. To something. To by itself can't make sense. So there are some words that when you say them, they leave the rest to the imagination. You can't figure out what they mean. Those are called harf. So you've got the ism and the fi'l and the harf. Now I want to go over those definitions, but off the top of our heads, without looking at our notes, without looking at what you wrote down. An ism, I'll go through it with you, see if you can synchronize your answer with mine. An ism is a person, place, thing, idea, adjective, adverb, or more. A fi'l is a word stuck in the past, or present, or future. A harf is a word that makes no sense unless followed by another word. The examples I gave you were to, or in, or at. The English language calls them prepositions. We're not going to use that word. We're going to use harf because it's more than just prepositions, okay? The other way of thinking about this, that was the hard definitions, by the way. Ism, fi'l, and harf. And I said any word, any page you open in the Quran, it's got to be one of these three words. It can't be a fourth, right? That's how this works. But there's another way of thinking about it. Well, maybe you looked at it and you can't tell what it is. Well, the way I want you to think as Arabic students now is I don't know what it is, but I sure know what it's not. Meaning if it can't be a fi'l and it's definitely not a harf, it's probably an ism. If it can't be an ism and it's definitely not a fi'l, it's probably a harf. Like by elimination, you can arrive at what you're looking at. And so let's put that to the test before we conclude this session and go through an English, a little small passage. It's a set of random sentences that my clearly psychologically disturbed students have put together. I don't know why these sentences are coherent in any way, shape, or form, but they make for good exercise. So we're going to do it together. The first sentence says, we invited guests for dinner. I'll walk you through the answers a little bit and see if you can follow along, okay? The word we is for people, which means it's persons, which means it's an ism. The word invited is in the past, which makes it a fi'l. The word guests are again people, hopefully, and so they are also an ism. The word for doesn't make sense by itself. On its own, it makes no sense, which makes it a harf. The word dinner is an idea. It could even be the food you're looking at, which is a thing. And so that's going to be an ism because a person, place, or thing is part of the ism definition. They arrived early. They, people. Therefore, ism. Arrived is in the past. And so that's a harf, or that's a fi'l rather. Early. When did they arrive? Early. You can think of early as an idea, but here I'll call it part of more. You know, it's a word describing time or place. And even words for time are considered isms. That's part of the more thing. So if you couldn't figure out early, that's okay. I'm giving away the answer. It's actually an ism because it's part of the more umbrella that I've offered you. I told my son to give them fruits and drinks, and I put the chicken in the oven hurriedly. Yeesh. Lots of words. I is a person. Let's go through all the persons. My refers to myself, so that's a person. Son is a person. I again is a person, and then the word them is persons. So those are all isms. Are there any things here? Yep, fruits, drinks, chicken, oven. Those are all isms. Is there anything in time? Yep, the word give or put. You know, those are words placed in time or told even in the beginning. Those are words that are fi'ls. What about, words that don't make sense unless they're followed by another word? The word to would be a harf. The word and would be a harf. The word the by itself wouldn't make sense, so that would be a harf. In would be a harf. The again would be a harf. Then I've left out hurriedly. You remember what I said about ly words? Jog your memory a little bit. Ly words are adverbs, and adverbs are part of ism. It describes how you put the chicken in. You put it hurriedly. So ly words would be an adverb and therefore an ism. A little bit more left. He dropped the tray on the white carpet and the drinks spilled. He is a person. That's an ism. Dropped is in the past. That makes it a fi'l. The is a harf because it doesn't make sense by itself. Tray is a thing, so that's an ism. On is not making any sense on its own. The is not making sense on its own, which means these are both harf. White carpet. Interesting. I know carpet's a thing. What's white? White is describing the carpet. It's an adjective, and adjectives are also part of ism. And is a harf. The is a harf. Drinks are things. Therefore, they are also an ism, and spilled is in the past, which makes it a fi'l. Guests are coming again today. Guests are people, that's why they're ism. Are is present tense, or you can think of are coming as one thing, one verb, a present tense idea, or present tense notion. Because it's in the present, we're going to call are today together a fi'l. Again, when are they coming? It's the answer, it's the more category once again. So that would be an ism. And then today, because it's the name of a time, any name is also an ism. So today is also an ism. And by the way, somebody might be confused about the word today and say, well, today is in the present, and therefore it's a fi'l. But no, at the end of the day, an ism means when you name something. Like if you name a month, or you name a year, or you name a day, that's still going to be an ism. Okay, it's part of the more category. And of course, another way of thinking about it is there's no past tense for the word today. It's not today'd or will today. There's no such thing. It's when you can convert a word to the past or present or future, that's when it becomes a fi'l. I will remind him to carry the tray carefully this time. Last sentence. I is a person, therefore that's an ism. Will remind is in the future, so that makes it a fi'l. Him is actually a person, which means it's an ism. To would be a harf. Carry the tray. To carry. Carry would be the idea. You can also here say it's in the present, so you can call it a fi'l. The tray would be a harf. Tray would be a thing. Carefully would be an adverb. Remember the ly words are adverbs, and that therefore they're an ism. This and time. This is almost describing the time. So this is going to be an ism, and time is also going to be an ism. It's the name of an idea. This is a little bit tricky, but yeah, you have to get used to labeling things. I'll leave you with one last one. I ate an apple quickly. Just that much. Or, yeah. How about that? I would be, and ate would be, and I'll pause it for a second, see if you can figure it out yourself. And when you're done pausing, I'll walk you through the answers. I is an ism. Ate is a fi'l. An is a harf. Apple is an ism. Quickly is an ism. If you got that right, congratulations. If not, go make wudu. Barakallahu li wa lakum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.